As part of Bioscope, we do high-resolution dissolved organic matter sampling, or HRDOM. It's a protocol designed by Liz Kujawinski at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute. She uses the method to get samples for her Fourier transform ion cyclotron resonance mass spectrometer. That's a big word. So what we're doing, we're taking seawater and we're extracting some of the organic carbons out of the seawater in order to look at their abundance and diversity. As part of Bioscope, we are doing this on a monthly basis, and we take six depths. They're sampled by the BATS team. The depths are 140, 120, 200, 500, and 1,000 meters. The BATS team samples 4 liters of each of these depths, and they filter it through a 0.2 omnipore filter to remove the bacteria, and then they acidify it. The samples need to be processed within 72 hours. So usually when they get back from a cruise, I process these samples the following day. I take 4 liters of seawater, which is contained in 2 times 2 liter Teflon bottles, and I first take a DOC sample, or a dissolved organic carbon sample. I basically just pour about 30 mils into a glass vial, and that's for dissolved organic carbon analysis. The samples are run through a PPL column, and the PPL column contains most of the organic carbon compounds, but they prefer the larger aromatic rings and the larger chains, so some of the smaller carbon compounds do actually go through, filter through, and are not retained on the PPL column. The first thing we do is we set up the filtration manifold. We put the PPL columns on the filtration manifold, and we run about 6 to 8 mils of methanol through the column to clean it. And the methanol is put in the methanol waste container. Once it's cleaned, we dry it, and then we set up the samples using Teflon tubing and a connector that fits snugly on top of the PPL column. Once we've fit the tubing goes, one end goes into the bottle, the other end goes into the top of the PPL column. We set up a vacuum pump and we start filtering the water. One of the things that I do is I have the bottles slightly higher than the PPL columns, so we can fill the actual PPL columns with the water, and that helps with filtration. The filtration takes about 4 hours, and we switch out the bottles halfway through so that we put the second 2 liter bottle on, and we empty the trap. So the trap contains the acidified seawater, and we have sodium bicarbonate in the trap, which neutralizes the acid, so we can just pour it down the sink. Once all the water is filtered through, which is usually around 4 hours, sometimes it takes a little bit longer depending on depth, we then rinse the PPL column with 4 times 6 mils of 0.01 normal hydrogen chloride. And this just does a rinse of the column, and then when that has run through, we dry the column and then add about 6 to 8 mils of methanol to elute the compounds off the column into a glass vial. And then the glass vial is put in the freezer. The PPL column is wrapped in foil for analysis to make sure that we're getting all the compounds off the PPL column. And prior to shipping the samples to Woods Hole, we use a speed vac to dry down the samples to remove all the methanol. So all we are exporting is a little bit of a lot of compounds in a very small amount of seawater.